So the first thing I have to do is I have to find the prepositional phrase in the model sentence, which is going to be at the end like a shiny marble. So go ahead and bold that. Then underneath it, I have 4 different chunks of words that we are going to combine to make a sentence that matches the model. So if you look at the model, it starts with just the basic sentence structure of article, noun, verb, phrase. So I'm going to look and see which chunk matches that. And I would have the snake was bright green. Then I'm just going to finish out with the chunks to match the model, making sure my prepositional phrase comes at the end. So in this case, like a shoelace. So my final sentence should say, the snake was bright green, comma, tiny, comma, and very thin, like a shoelace. Okay. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to come up with your own sentence that matches the model and the unscrambled imitation. My example is the mattress was soft, comma, large, comma, and very clean, like the one next door. So pause me and go ahead and make your own imitation following the model structure. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to combine sentences, 4 of them, into one that includes multiple prepositional phrases. So if you look at the model, you have Janet and Tiger went racing back over the country and over the town, over houses and churches and mountains and rivers, across the park and along the street. In that sentence, you have 5 different prepositions that create 5 separate prepositional phrases. So like I have on the screen, go ahead and bold those prepositional phrases and then underline each individual preposition so you can see where they start and finish. Pause me for a second and go ahead and do that. Okay, now I'm going to take all 4 of these individual sentences. I'm going to delete the redundant words and phrases and combine them to create a sentence that matches the model. So when I do that, it should say, Alfred and his brother started going home, comma, across the railroad and across the empty lot, comma, past warehouses and businesses and cars and corners, comma, along the canal and toward the bridge. So if you take all of those and you omit the redundancy of they went and then went, you would end up with the combined sentence below. Now pause me and you create your own sentence that contains the same amount of prepositions and prepositional phrases that looks like the model and the combined imitation. I'm going to make a sentence for mine, and it's going to say, the coaches and the players headed back to the field. Now I need to start my preposition, so I'll have a comma, and I'm going to say that they went down the hill and across the intersection, comma, past street lamps and businesses and gas stations, comma, alongside tiny cars and toward the big school. So all I need to do is make sure that I have the same amount of prepositions and prepositional phrases, and I'm going to go ahead and bold those so I can check to make sure that I've done it correctly. So I've got down, across, past, alongside, and toward. So I should have the same amount of prepositional phrases as the model. go ahead and pause me and write your sentence. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to insert slashes into the sentences, bold the prepositional phrases, and then write a sentence of our own that follows the model. So I'm going to do the first one, and then you are going to do number 2 and 3. You'll pause me after I go through these directions. So I'm going to insert slashes first. So I should have in all that space slash of land and sky slash stood the lonely small covered wagon. So essentially this is an inverted sentence. So the prepositional phrase isn't as obvious in this one, but it's actually of land and sky. So I'm going to bold that. Okay. And now I'm going to look over here and I'm going to write my own that imitates this sentence. So let's see, what could I put? I could put in the large field, no comma, in the large field of grain and corn stood the tall, scary, clothed scarecrow. Period. Okay, so I follow that same sentence structure. Now what you need to do is go through numbers 2 and 3. You're going to put your slashes to make your chunks, bold the prepositional phrases, and then write a sentence of your own that follows the model. Pause me and do that. All right, now we're going to do the expanding section. So this one's easy. You have 3 example sentences. You're going to pick a prepositional phrase to put at the beginning of the first one, in the middle of the second one, and then at the end of the third one. If you want to, you can go back to that list that was on the notes that we went over when we started, so you can pick prepositional phrases from there, but hopefully you can just remember some location words from the top of your head. So let's do this first one together, and then you can do the second and third one by yourself. So the first one is blank, comma, she was glad to be in the quiet hospital room. So I'm going to say after the chaotic ER experience, comma, after is my preposition, and after the chaotic ER experience is my prepositional phrase. Okay, so now you look at that list of prepositions and put one in the middle of the second and in the end of the third. You can pause me while you do that. All right, the last part is creative writing. The directions say choose one of the sentences below as the first sentence of a story. Then write 4 to 5 more sentences, all containing at least one prepositional phrase. Bold all of the prepositional phrases. So I have 3 options below to start with. I'm going to do an example first, and then you can pause me and do yours on your own. The main thing that I need to do is to make sure I pick only one of them. I'm going to start with the third one. I'm going to copy paste that down there. That didn't work. I'll retype it. He heard a low hissing sound like a very large snake. So I'm going to bold like a very large snake because that's my prepositional phrase. And then I'm going to do 4 to 5 more sentences that all have prepositional phrases, but it doesn't matter where they come. They can come in the beginning, in the middle, or the end. So what I'm going to do, just to help me make it easier, I'm going to go back to my wordplay schedule so I can look and see the list of prepositional phrases from the notes. Let me find it. Okay, so I have my little list here of common prepositions. I'm just going to pick one, let's say along or against, and see if that works in my sentence. I'm going to say, he heard a low hissing sound like a very large snake. Alongside the brick shed. No, let's not do a brick shed. Alongside the outdoor shed, comma, and that's my preposition right there, alongside the outdoor shed. I'm going to say, Caden saw the snake's tail sticking out, period. So there's my second sentence. Now I need a third one. Let's go back to the list. Let's do outside or past and see if that works. I'm going to add it to my next sentence. Alongside the outdoor shed, Caden saw the snake's tail sticking out. Even though it was winter, the snake had snuck in from the field. And actually, in from the field can be my prepositional phrase because in is a preposition. So that's 1, 2, 3 sentences. I'm going to go back to my list and I'm going to say above the storage container in the garage, comma, he knew there was a shovel. And above the storage container in the garage is my prepositional phrase. He knew there was a shovel. Caden decided to grab it and take care of the snake for himself. And then what can I add at the end? Let's do despite being a little bit scared. Despite is my preposition, and then the rest is my prepositional phrase. Okay, so you do what I just did, walk through, pick one of these story starters, and then finish out with 3 or 4 more sentences, bold your prepositional phrases. To submit this, it's very important you do it exactly this way. You're going to go up to the upper right-hand corner, click Share. Okay, right here, you're going to click Get Shareable Link. You must click this or it will be restricted access. Change to Can Edit and click Done. And then that is the link that you will copy right there into Canvas to submit.